Hello, my name's Joe, I'm here at Riverside. Today I'm going to show you how to set up a snake method for smoking on a kettle barbecue. So let me just preface this by saying there are many ways to set up all the bits of kit that we use to achieve all the results that we want to get. What I will show you today is how we teach the snake method on the courses here at Riverside Barbecue School. If you do yours differently, we love hearing about how different people approach different things to get the same results. So please leave us a comment down below and tell us how you do it. Snake method is a way of achieving low and slow smoking on a kettle barbecue. These are probably the most popular pieces of kit in this country, certainly, probably in the States, maybe even the world. So making them more versatile using different techniques is obviously a good thing. People might be limited on space, they might be limited on funds. Most people only have this one piece of kit, and so being able to do more with it is a good thing, as I say. Fuel-wise, you do see people using lumpwood charcoal. They're probably using high quality, big chunks of lumpwood. We're going to be using briquettes today. The quality is equally important when you're using briquettes. You want something that doesn't have any binding agents, doesn't have any accelerants. So the Weber briquettes, they are bound with potato starch, but that doesn't give off any aroma or flavour when you're lighting them or when they burn. So really the principle is you just have a fuse of unlit charcoal and it's lit at one end with some lit charcoal, wood on top, and you just slowly let it burn round like a fuse. Hence the name snake, because it ends up resembling something close to a snake. Let's have a look at how it's set up. So first things first, I've got a chimney starter set up here, and I'm just going to add maybe 8 to 10 briquettes in here, maybe a couple more, and light those. And once that's done, we just kind of put it to one side and set up our snake. I've got 2 of the Weber lighter cubes. When I first used to get these, I thought you had to remove the bags. Don't make the mistake I did, you can just light them in their bags and they'll take. So we light those. And you can see we really don't have many briquettes in there at all. Get that over the top. Try and make sure that there's some briquettes over the flames and just wait for them to take. Our chimney starter with the 8 to 10, maybe 12 briquettes in is nearly done. I've put that to one side, I'm just going to start building. What I've done is I've dumped out a load of briquettes into our kettle, and the reason for doing that is you get a better economy of movement moving from here to build your snake here than constantly having to reach into the bag and grab more briquettes. So all we're going to do is just 2 by 2 start building our fuse, or our snake if you will. And what's really important here is to make sure that you have adequate contact between the briquettes so that as the fire burns round from one briquette to the next, it will actually catch. If you end up with gaps, then you'll lose temperature and you'll have to start the whole thing again, which is obviously not desirable. So we'll just do a short one today. Do the same on top. We're filming this in January and it's a bit chilly, so sometimes you'll need less fuel, sometimes you'll need more. It's kind of up to you to experiment based on where you are in the world. The general rule is you'll need more fuel if it's cold, a bit less if it's hot. And that's that. So what we'll do is we'll put our lit charcoal on here, all the way down there, and it will just slowly burn through as a fuse. And before I put our lit fuel on to light the fuse, I'm just going to put a couple of bits of wood. Depending on how much you enjoy smoke, you can use none. You get a little bit of natural smoke from the briquettes. You can use 1, 2, 3 pieces. As it burns round, obviously, it will continue to light and provide more smoke. I tend to go with 1 or 2, depending on the size of the joint I'm smoking. I consider smoke much like salt as a seasoning. You don't want too much of it. So obviously, once we put our lit fuel there, that will very quickly light that piece of wood, and then we're smoking. So I've dumped out our lit briquettes here, much like the unlit stuff. I just dump it to one side, and then you can take your time doing what you need. So we'll just lean those up there, and as I said, make sure that you've got some on top. Now some people are very particular about how they build this in terms of neatness. Some people are even as particular as refusing to light it and let it burn anti-clockwise. So I apologise to those people who may be watching. But it's really as simple as that. Just make sure that you've got adequate contact everywhere. and that will burn round. Obviously our bottom vent is wide open, our top vent will be wide open when we put the lid on, and then we'll just see what kind of temperature we get to and go from there. And just a word on using the lid with this setup. It will vary depending on the piece of kit that you've got. On this, the thermometer and the vent sit directly opposite each other. With this setup, you've got your heat source right over one side of the barbecue, so it's crucial that when you put your lid on, your top vent is directly opposite your heat source, and what you get then is it pulls the heat up and out of this vent. If you do it like this, you'll lose all of your heat from the fire on that one side, and you'll have a cool side over here. The one downside to the thermometer and the vent being directly opposite each other is that in order to have the vent here, you have to have your thermometer directly over your fire, which obviously means that you'll get something of a false reading. That's fine, because you know that with the amount of fuel that you use and the way that your food is cooking, you can just slightly tweak and tailor the cook, either by adjusting the vents or removing or adding fuel, and you'll be able to get where you want to be. But the only other thing really to consider with this setup is how you control your temperature. You can use the vents on a kettle. They're not geared towards massive temperature control in the same way that something like a Kamado is, or an offset smoker. Really, your first priority is using the right amount of fuel to achieve the temperature that you want. As I said earlier on, in cooler climates you'll need more fuel, and in warmer climates you'll need less. There's absolutely no shame in having to adjust your setup as you go. If you need to add more lit fuel to get hotter, do. If you need to take some lit fuel out to cool down, by all means do. The other thing is, when you're adjusting your vents, the bottom one should be your first port of call. As your intake, that's the oxygen that comes in to feed the fire. If you shut that one down a little bit, then you're essentially starving the fire of fuel, and you've still got nice airflow coming out the top. If you shut the top vent down too much, you can end up with a kind of acrid smoke build-up, and that will obviously taint the flavour of your food. There's no hard and fast rules on how to achieve set temperatures. Even things like humidity can affect the cook. So really it's just a case of trial and error, but hopefully this has given you what you need to set up a decent snake method and then learn your own lessons. So we've done the setup. I'm not going to actually cook anything on this today, but when you set yours up and you go to cook, the important thing to remember is when your charcoal grate's on, you always want to keep your food opposite the fire. This is an indirect setup. Your fire is one side, your food is the other. We often place a water pan in the bottom, which acts half as a heat sink, but also half to introduce some moisture into the environment, which is great for smoke and obviously great for moisture. The only thing to consider is, as your fuse burns round, your fire is moving. So you need to move your food round to always be opposite your source of heat. Well, that was just a little how-to on how to set up the snake method on a kettle barbecue, at least how we teach it here at the Riverside Barbecue School. If you found the video helpful, if you've enjoyed the video, please give it a like and please subscribe to our YouTube channel. It really does help us out. Also, comment down below if there's anything you'd like to see in future videos, any setups, how to cook certain things, anything at all really. Just leave us a comment down below, and I'll see you again very soon. Thank you.